Believe in Commanders podcast, part of the Believe Network. We are brought to you by FanDuel. Scott Jackson and former Washington Redskin wide receiver number 13, Anthony Armstrong, here with us. And good to be with you here as we, of course, are getting closer to a big game for Team USA in soccer. Anthony, I don't know if you've been digesting the World Cup a lot, but excited about that for tomorrow night. And obviously, we're kind of in the dog days of the summer right now with the NFL football. So this is kind of a nice diversion for us.
100%. We got football. Hell, I got the game going on right here. With Ivory Coast, Norway. It's a free kick happening. So if I just randomly just start yelling,
screaming, "Goal!"
it's because a goal has happened. Okay,
right.
I've been paying attention. I don't. It's kind of like the Olympics. I don't watch a whole bunch of soccer until it's on the World Cup stage. But hey, this is a major thing, almost a goal. They just barely missed it. This is a major event, and it's pretty cool to see the world all come together. You know what I mean? All focused on one thing, regardless of how crazy things are out there. They're focused on this tournament, this World Cup, and it's a historic thing.
Absolutely. So that's been a lot of fun, and again, also frustrating if you're a pro football player in this country to see some of these fields that are normally AstroTurf, field turf, whatever we call this stuff these days, the fake stuff, and then they have this lovely grass rolled out on your home NFL stadium for these teams and these players that are not the players that play for your franchise. And then, of course, we all know when it comes pro football season, they'll have that stuff torn up and it'll be back to the hard artificial surface.
It's too expensive, man. Obviously, it's too expensive. I had to put some sod in my front yard. I couldn't dare imagine what it's like if my kids were to play on it all the time, like it's supposed to be. Look, man, you got to invest in your players. This is definitely one of the things that is going to push the case even more. Be like, hey,
sure,
yeah, you did it for a 3-month span in multiple cities, all right, at multiple stadiums. This can be done, and I think that the NFL players and NFLPA should push this a bit more and continue to go for that, because if player safety is going to be a paramount thing that they want to believe in, then they got to go ahead and try to go to grass and make this thing happen as soon as possible.
Listen, you're investing in these players. Think about the money you lose, right? When some of your best guys are sitting on the sidelines or rehabbing or what have you. I don't know. It seems to make more sense. The technology's gotten better too, right? Like we've seen it with the Raiders, right? The Raiders have this indoor stadium. They roll in grass every week. The Cardinals can do the same thing there. I mean, so it can be done, and it has been done around the league, but just not consistently enough. And I think that's frustrating. And I've heard George Kittle and some of the other players, sound off on this over the last few weeks.
I think one of the things about it is, I had a good thought on it, because if you're going to pay this much, I would much rather you invest in this grass than try to eliminate hits from the game. You know what I mean? Like, oh no, that's actually player safety.
That's he let drop the tackle,
and he hit him into the. I'm like, I play offense or played offense, and I understand that as a runner, you'll shrink down to defend yourself, and then that where a defending player could come across and hit you where he was aiming for your sternum, but now I've braced for contact. Now it's helmet to helmet, and all the that could be bad, but that's still football. Go ahead and change it. If you're going to go through that regard, and you're going to have the pictures and the cameras in the pylons, and we're trying to make sure that the ball is a half a blade, all forward or back, Scott, to make sure we're determining if it's a touchdown or not. Dadgum, give the players some dadgum grass to play on. You paying your quarterback $50-60 million. Come on, man.
Put a chip in the ball too while you're at it.
All of those things.
Speaking of quarterbacks, this is kind of like this would be like one of the big quarterbacks, although I guess a guy on the other side of the mountain a little bit in his career, and LeBron James being a free agent now, telling the Lakers no thanks today in the NBA. It got me to thinking, like, the NFL, we don't often get guys that are like the top star players, right, that ever become true free agents. I guess the closest thing we've had here in the recent history was Aaron Rodgers, right? But like the market's been a little limited, obviously, for him the last few years. Or at least he's limited it, I suppose. But it would be weird if it was. I'm trying to think of a good equivalent for, like, if a quarterback, because it has to be a quarterback, right? Or if a Max Crosby or somebody were a free agent. To kind of compare what would it be like in the NFL if you get somebody like that actually hit the market, and teams could actually openly bid on him, because it seems like ever since we got into free agency in the NFL down the road here, because of the franchise tag and those type of things, we don't ever really get that kind of player.
Man, I'm over here quickly looking up some of the top free agent signings. You see names like Reggie White pop up,
That was a
Jerry
long time ago. That was the
Rice.
first year, as a matter of fact.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was like when free agency
Yeah.
came about. Simeon Rice. So for all y'all young pups listening, you don't know some of these names, right? This is way back in the origination of this free agency
old
game.
days. Yeah.
Old days in the game. Michael Turner, running back, was in there. Ed McCaffrey. Luke's daddy was one of those big free agents as well. So, honestly, yeah, you're right. They don't let players get to that point. But oddly enough, they don't let players get all the way to the end of their contracts either. Football is such a weird sport to where physically, your skills can be diminished immediately, right? What LeBron James has accomplished in playing, 21, 20 years, so however, 2 decades, a lot of football, a lot of basketball. He's played a lot of basketball. That's astonishing. Just to be able to have your body be able to take that amount of pounding and jumping and shooting, everything they do. You got to give some kudos to that. So that's amazing. But yeah, NFL wise, I don't know. I mean, I feel like I forget who it was. There used to be a player who was notorious for just taking 1-year deals back before, that was a big thing. I feel like that would be it. Like if you had a big name player who was like, nope, I'm only doing a 1-year deal.
Right.
And then literally every season they had to jump back in there. But let me ask you this. What player league wide, if they could go on a 1-year deal right now, would make you, Scott Jackson, GM of the Commanders, go ahead and pick up that phone and make a phone call?
Well, I mean, that's a tough one right now. But if like Pat Mahomes a couple of years ago and this team didn't know what they were doing at quarterback, that would be the first, I'd be like, hello, what are we doing here? Can we send the plane for him? But right now, I mean, listen, if this year had Myles Garrett actually gotten into free agency, that would have been interesting for this, for this team. But clearly, he, instead he got traded. Although, a lot of people were pretty pumped up, about the idea of, and I'm losing my train of thought of what his name is. The guy in Cincinnati, Trey Hendrickson, who is now in Baltimore, in terms of rush in. But you just think about like kind of the team needs, right? Like for this team, that was a big one of them. Clearly was pass rusher, and they had to go, spend money on Oweh, which is fine. But if like one of those guys, would have been available last offseason, that would have been the thing that you had to go get at that moment. But yeah, I mean, you just don't see it much in the NFL. I remember the year in '92, the Redskins were trying to get Reggie White, back then. They were a mess with the cap at that point. They were going through some stuff, but they were still trying to kind of keep that thing together for another run. And they wanted to get Reggie White, and they couldn't pull it off. And he went to Green Bay, and obviously he was a little addition by subtraction to the NFC East at the time because he left the Eagles. And the Eagles had a sick D line in the day, man. They didn't win anything with it, but they had a sick D line with him and Jerome Brown, obviously, were just monsters. Clyde Simmons was a really good player, too.
I was 9, so there was that.
That was prime. Great. Those are the great Redskin years of watching football.
That's probably me 9 years old or so in one of these pictures right here. I was young number 22 playing for the Carrollton Cowboys, man. Toss right.
We don't hold that against you.
To the house, man. You don't hold it against me. But, man, I was out there looking like Bill Croskey-Merritt, man.
Look at you, Bill Croskey-Merritt Day, huh?
Taken out. Bill wasn't even born in 90.
No,
92.
Bill wasn't even an idea at that point either.
Oh, man. This is weird how these timelines are meshing, and then you realize, oh, my gosh, how old we're getting. Let's keep this party rolling, man. Let's keep it moving. A lot of World Cup soccer going on. LeBron is a free agent. Do you think he's going to go back to Cleveland, though?
Nah, I think the Warriors or the Heat would be my 2 guesses. And then maybe the wild card, the LA Clippers. That way you don't have to move. Wife's happy. She doesn't have to move. Everybody stays in the same house. And then, the Clippers, they love to overspend, Steve Ballmer needs shiny objects, and they're trying to potentially maybe trade Kawhi. I don't know if that's legit or not. But, so that would be my like, dark horse crazy guess right there would be that. But I think it seems like the Warriors are putting the full court press on, and I don't know if Pat Riley's going to put the full court press on or not, but the Heat, that just seems like kind of a natural fit, maybe just because we've seen him in that jersey before. I don't know.
Yeah.
I just don't see Cleveland, especially now that they're trying to bring Harden back. What a terrible idea. But
Basketball is weird, man. It's just different than football. You know,
it is. It's a great way to leave it. Yeah,
that's it. It's just different.
It's different.
That's all.
Yeah, it's just different. That's why we love football. Let's get to some of these FanDuel preseason over-unders. I think they're interesting. You shared a few of them. Did I see this correct? Jaden Daniels' touchdown total is only 20.5.
Yep, only 20
right?
and a half. Yeah.
Is that passing touchdowns or total touchdowns?
This is passing touchdowns. You scroll down a little bit.
Okay.
Season. I think there you go. Regular season passing touchdowns over on FanDuel. Jaden Daniels hit that button over under 20 and a half.
Wow. So he had 25 his rookie season, right? 25 his rookie season.
Yep. Obviously, last season was down.
Yeah, and that was with some missed time due to injury as well. In games, remember he got hurt, in the Carolina game, and then barely played in that last game against the Cowboys that year. So, boy, that seems really low to me. I hate to question the people who do this professionally that are really good at this. I think they're way wrong here. I don't know, man. That kind of blows me away.
Yeah, it's giving disrespectful, but like not in a rude way. It's probably like some of them algorithmic things. Right?
Oh, I'm sure it's algorithm. Yeah.
Yeah, they're like, okay, year one was this, year two he only played this, so they're assuming a lot of things aren't going to go well.
Yeah.
But
20
touchdowns seems like it's a really low output, right? But for what we're wanting to see, we want to see a team get some W's. That means you're going to be getting some touchdowns on the ground. You're going to see somebody run their ball in, different ways to put the ball in the end zone rather than it being all Jaden. So that's on FanDuel if y'all like that number. The next one that I found was receiving yards for the regular season. So we had to check out our guy, Terry McLaurin.
Yes.
And he always has hovered right around that 1,000-yard mark. Last season, he missed it barely, or did he make the 1,000?
Well, remember last year he missed all that time. So he
that's right. It was like he had to get a crazy amount right at the end.
Yeah, injuries. Yeah.
900 and a half. That's right there for you. So what do you think on that one? You got Jaden at 20 and a half on the touchdowns, Terry at 900 and a half on the yard. David Blau says, hey, we're going to get his 10 targets. We're going to give him the rock.
That's also, to me, it seems to be an over. Now, this is almost like, are you hedging against him being healthy, right? Now, last year he wasn't healthy. This year he's at a full off season. Looks great from all accounts. So, yeah, I would go over. Again, last year with limited play, it was 38 for 582 is what I'm looking at here. 15 yards a catch in the old Kingsbury offense. Yeah, I mean, again, unless, of course, something changes in the receiver room, he's the obvious number one. And I agree. I assume David Blau, I'm taking him at his word. He will get that. And, remember 2024 with Jaden, it was 82 for 1,096 yards that year and 13 touchdowns. So, yeah, I mean, I think Terry is over. And you said 9. What was the number again? 9 what?
900 and a half. So just
900 and a half. Okay, so his rookie season in 2019 before last year was his lowest season, and he had 919 yards that year. And all the other years were over 1,000, obviously, except for 2025, where he missed a lot of time with injury. But, I would say, to me, that also seems to be an easier over. It almost feels like I'm being set up for something.
Yeah, right. I mean, I don't know. It seems a little too easy, but I'll take it. I'm not going to be mad at a layup. I'm going to give me a layup every now and again. Still no love on the running back statistics. So, but they do have.
I get that though. There's a committee there. It's hard to kind of mesh through who's who or what have you.
Yeah. So I'm not mad at that. But then they did have rookie receiving yards. I think we maybe mentioned this before. I see it's back on the list. Our guy Antonio Williams is 7th on the list here. He's 7th on the list behind the likes of Jordan Tyson, Carnell Tate. Okay. Makai Lemon, Concepcion, Omar Cooper Jr., and Denzel Boston. So that's where he's kind of fallen. They don't have a yard. They don't have a yard.
They don't have a yardage yet. Okay, yeah.
Nah. They just saying who's going to finish with the most.
I
And
gotcha.
it looks like, they're saying it would be a Jordan Tyson or a Carnell Tate. You talk about having, to fight off injuries. Jordan Tyson coming in with hammy and kind of known for those things. Hopefully he's past that and can put up a strong season because you want to see these young guys get out there and catch the rock, man. Mekhi Lemons in the NFC East, right? I wonder how he's going to face against the Trey Amos, Mikey Sanders still, Robertson, Amik Robertson. So, we're going to see a couple of these young fellas, and our defense can kind of keep their numbers down.
Believe in Commanders podcast, part of the Believe Network, and we are brought to you by FanDuel. Scott Jackson and Anthony Armstrong going through some of these FanDuel preseason numbers right now. Yeah, I think you and I talked about this, I don't know, like 3 or 4 weeks back about what our expectations or hopes for Antonio Williams year one. Maybe kind of have that Jamison Crowder type of role, right, where he was kind of the guy who would be big on third downs for this team and, end up being, real impactful there, and maybe that's where you would see him. It's hard, and again, the receiver room may not be done adding, right? We have to put that out there, whether it's Aiyuk or Stephon Diggs or whoever, right? They could add something. So, but as it stands right now, that's probably fair, right, to have him around 7 in terms of yardage, because we think Terry's the number one guy. Chig's going to get a lot of targets and get some yardage, I think. And then we think Rachaad White's going to be involved. But I would say Antonio Williams is, probably very high up in the pecking order in terms of numbers there, because a guy that could win for you, it looks like, out of the slot position pretty consistently.
Oh, yeah. His run after catch ability is something to really think about when you're in that fringe area, just outside of the red zone. A lot of coaches call it the green zone. And you can see a lot of quick screens and just something to say, hey, let's get ourselves a little bit closer to the end zone and just try to be manageable, but stay progressive and stay productive with your plays. And with that, I could see Antonio Williams kind of sneaking up in some touchdown count too. I wouldn't be surprised if he, finds his way into the end zone a couple more times. Reception count may be low or lower, but he finds his way into the end zone because he is crafty with the ball in his hands and is able to finish it into the end zone.
Absolutely. Okay. So those are the preseason numbers. I know you had some other stuff you wanted to get to about being young and not knowing better. What was, I like how you kind of tied this into what we're watching in the World Cup world.
Yeah, so if you had watched the Netherlands and the Morocco game, I was listening while I was walking around the house, like just cleaning up. I'm like supposed to be doing the dishes, but I'm wiping the counter. I wiped a hole into the counter, so I'm watching this game. It was so exciting. But throughout the commentary, they were mentioning that the Netherlands weren't playing in their same identity. They were a more mature team. They've been, more international games than some of these guys from Morocco. But at the end of it, when it came down to those penalty kicks, Morocco showed up and made those kicks. They made the play that they needed to make. The Netherlands players, they didn't. And I felt that this is kind of similar to these Commanders. You're going up against a formidable opponent, a tough season. You've got San Francisco, you've got the Rams, you've got Philly, you've got Dallas, but you've got a couple of young coordinators, an inexperienced coordinator, and you got a young team that, frankly, they don't care about what they're going up against because they're trying to prove something for themselves. And I found that to be a pretty powerful moment. And I'm excited to see this team get out here this season because, frankly, they're going to need that type of attitude each game, week in and week out, Scott.
Yeah, I think, you find teams with that sometimes make these runs. We've seen in the NFL, right? Last year, the Patriots were like that kind of team, right? And I think to some degree, the Broncos had that going on for them as well. They had never really done anything in the playoffs with that group and had run through there before, losing Bo Nix obviously killed them. But you have those kind of moments where teams, and especially in the NFL, where it's so year to year and week to week, the historical part of it kind of goes out the window these days. I mean, it's very rare that kind of stuff matters anymore. Not to say we don't have certain franchises that have keep it at a pretty high level consistently, but we do have these, worst of first flips often, right? I mean, this Commanders team was that team, 3 seasons ago now, going on 3 seasons ago now, when they went from, not even thought of, nobody was thinking of them with Dan Quinn, year one, rookie quarterback. And, they didn't do anything week one to change your mind either, kind of laid an egg in Tampa. And then, of course, tore it up after that. So, yeah, I mean, I think you got to feel that way. And this team obviously has a lot of belief in themselves already. And then there's all the outside pieces that you've brought in to go along with the guys that have been here before. I think this is a team that's not going to be like, thinking about last year if stuff goes poorly. You know what I mean? I think they're more focused on, what they can do this year and not caring about whatever the history was. I mean, look at Team USA too. Talking about not caring about history. Like, it's been 5 years since they beat a European team, but honestly, it doesn't really compute with what's been going on in this particular World Cup at all.
It doesn't.
It doesn't. Yeah, different group of players, different coach. I mean, everything's different and new. So, I get it. We use these historical markers in sports a lot, but we also have to be cognizant of it. Some of it doesn't matter. And some of it does carry over. It's weird, like college. You see some of these rivalries. There's some weird things happen, right, over the years. And, sometimes it happens in pros as well. But mostly every year is independent of itself. And the historical stuff, although interesting to how the trends go, meaningless to the players that are involved and the coaches that are involved.
It's meaningless until people bring it up, right? Like, nobody.
Right.
Like, a lot of times, a lot of these guys, you think about, some of these guys are teenagers playing in the World Cup, right? Maybe they played in a couple. Hell, got to mention one of my photographer friends, man. Shout out to Kaz. He's covered 10 World Cups, Scott.
Awesome.
Can you imagine 10
That's
of them?
awesome.
So, like, they may not know what the biggest history is of how a team used to lose. They don't know about that. They worry about changing the history. They're worrying about getting something new and setting up their own legacy. And when you kind of pay attention to this team's rollout of just slowly but surely how they're trying to introduce the season, and Jaden walking up to the gates at the stadium and the arena, and they're setting up for something new. They're not really. It's just a hat tip to the past when you talk about the jerseys and the colors and the schemes and cherry, the shiny glossy helmets. All of those things. Definitely love that. But it's still all about building something new and making sure you put your own stamp on it. And this is the season for them to do it.
Yeah, exactly. I agree with you there. Believe in Commanders podcast, again, part of the Believe Network, and we are brought to you by FanDuel. He is Anthony Armstrong. I'm Scott Jackson. And good talking to you as always. We'll do it again here very near future. Again, please comment, like, and follow the podcast. Even you, Brandon Aiyuk commenters, you keep commenting on us. We do appreciate your participation and calling me all kinds of names. But that'll do it for us this time. Anthony, we'll talk to you later, buddy.
See y'all.